Hello everyone, welcome back to the Santa Ana Industrial Lead. Today we're going to do a layout tour. We'll call it the 2023 Layout Tour number 1, just in case I want to do another one later this year. I know I promised this probably 5 months ago around Christmas, but just got busy with stuff. So it's actually about a year from when I did the original layout tour last year. So I think it's like 11 months. So as a little addition, I'm going to, I have 5 or 6 pictures from the last layout tour where I just snipped them from the video. And I'm going to show those and then show how it is today as we go around the tour. So you can see what's changed. Some things haven't changed at all. Some things have changed a lot. It was kind of interesting to me to see how much I've done or not done on certain sections in the past year. So before we start the layout tour, let's first take a look at a couple maps of the area just to give you guys an idea of what's going on here. So where we will start is the West Anaheim Yard, which is right here in the blue circle. So haulers, which are longer trains, local trains that come and bring cars to various locations, come in from Colton Yard, which is about 40 miles east, kind of up here. So it has 4 stops. So say it leaves with 80 cars, it drops 20 at Los Nitos, 20 at another stop, 20 here, and then 20 here at my yard. So from here, the original portion of my layout, which I'm not really covering in the tour except at the very end, is up here in the green circle. The current portion of the layout, the expansion, is basically this little area right here. There's several industries. There are more around here, but I didn't get to do all these. So let's take a look at it. Oh, and then if you guys follow SoCal Scale Models, Rick, his Stanton Industrial Lead, which also leaves West Anaheim Yard, goes down here and hits Huntington Beach. So he models a portion of this as well. So here's a zoomed in portion of my layout. It's basically a large switching layout. And as I said, here's the yard up here. And there's what's called the Anaheim Y, which is where one way it goes towards my line and the other way it goes towards the Stanton Industrial Lead. And they park in locomotives there. The hauler actually stays overnight there. So my line would first cross over the I-5 bridge, which I have that scene. And then it goes about, I think it's like 2.5 miles of street running from here, makes a turn, goes down to here. I'm basically modeling this first part of it in only 900 scale feet. I believe it's about 1.5 miles. And that's Santa Ana Street. And then it turns south on Olive Street. And then right around here, I think it just switches over to regular trackage. That's where the street running stops. This trackage has been here since the SP days, so they basically just built the neighborhood around it. And then most of my industries are basically here. International Paper, which is the first stop. The Plastics Transload, which we'll see. Crenshaw Lumber and Ganal Lumber, which I have 1 lumber yard now, not 2, but that's here. And then this little area is now, I have it as the corn syrup transload and the cold storage location. So basically my layout covers from here to about here, which is not very much. It does continue on, like I said, it crosses this bridge. So my layout actually ends right about here where this highway is. That would be where the doorway to my layout room is. But it continues on, and there's some more layout industries over here. And also head south, there's one industry way down here, Bear Paints. But I'm only doing this little area here. So with that, let's go look at the real layout. So last night I watched James McNabb do a kind of a live stream op session / layout tour with his Iowa Interstate Hills line. So it kind of inspired me to do my layout tour the same way, where we're just going to follow the train around the entire layout or the entire expansion part of the layout. We're not going to do any switching or anything like that. I have the train loaded up with cars that would be switched at the various industries, but I'm not going to do any operations. We're just going to ride the rails and check everything out and have a few comments about what I've done and what's going on with the layout. So grab a beverage of your choice and I will get these locomotives, or the locomotive, fired up. All right, so I'm going to try to do this like everyone else with the camera in one hand and my Proto throttle in the other. Fire it up. Sorry, I had to turn the locomotive down a little bit. So let's take a look at the yard real fast. So you'll see that far track to the left would be where the local locomotives would sit. And then I have 1, 2, 3 kind of storage tracks, where one could be an inbound track, one could be an outbound. I really haven't figured out the best way to do it yet. Honestly, I haven't ran operations where I need them all at this point. But so this track here, we're going to load up the hauler at the end and send him back towards the the original half of the layout. Is I'll just make a few comments on that side as we exit. So let's head out. So hopefully everything works smoothly. I have all the switches thrown the correct way, and see how it goes. So for you longtime viewers, to give you some new information, I thought about trying to tell you something I have not said about the layout or a particular scene. Just like I said, to make it a little more interesting. As the train leaves the yard, crossing over the I-5. This is one of the first scenes I built because I had to. Because obviously if I want to run the train from the yard, I need to build the bridge. It's not complete yet. The whole bridge needs to be weathered. The hill's not even filled in yet. It's going to be full of foliage. I get asked about this bus here quite a bit. It's a Rapido. Yes, it is the bus from Speed. Yes, I'm well aware that it's not in my era, but I like it, so I keep it there, or keep it on the layout. I do have, of course it happens, right? So yeah, there's a little spot on the track that sometimes, I think it's raised up a little bit, and the engine, the locomotive goes up, and just, if it doesn't have a secondary unit, it stops. This one does, at least. As I was saying, the Speed bus is, I know it's not part of my era, but I just like it. I do have some more modern buses. Down here I will have a bus stop. Right there. It's actually not an Orange County bus. I'm trying to find one. They're very difficult to find, but it's local to the area, but not Orange County. And the street running, I showed a lot of videos last year about how I was constructing the scene. There's still obviously a lot left to go, but I needed a break from it. But so it's coming along pretty well, I think. Oh, I did have to, from the original design, I think I covered this a little bit in one of my videos, but I added like a couple inches here to the edge because, as you can see, the houses, I would have had to cut them all off. But this way I could use the entire model and not have a bunch of 3/4 houses here. So it doesn't really, there's no operations in this area. That's just basically a scenic area. So we're leaving the street running area. As I said earlier, I'm modeling about 900 feet of it. The real street running is about 1.5, 2 miles, 2.5, I'm not sure exactly. And one other nugget is that this track that goes on to the wall, it's not powered. There's not even a turnout. It's just a dummy track to take pictures. More or less, I could stage a train there like it's coming back from along like a street running scene. So that'll be the Anaheim police station. I still need to build that. This is a place of worship. It's just a picture right now, pasted on, taped on wood, and then all the houses and stuff. So let's catch up with the train here. This area, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it. It's kind of negative space. I tried messing around with like putting an industry back there with some dummy track, but that's not going to stay. So coming up here, you can see International Paper on the left. Haven't done a whole lot with this. I did mock it up somewhat, not very much. I do have a dock there, yay. This area here will be where the trucks load. They keep a bunch of paper and junk outside in this paved lot. And it keeps like kind of the trucks go in and out through here. So I wanted to make enough room so it could appear like a truck could actually get out of here. So that's why the building is going to be right up against the fascia. Or the backdrop, sorry. I'm going to stop this for a second here. So one interesting thing about this part of the layout is from where we left, which is over here, this turnout all the way around, there's no turnout or anything. That's basically until right here. So it's kind of just a stretch of running, kind of a sense of going somewhere, which is kind of what I wanted with the switching. And then from here, where the train would stop to uncouple its cars and get ready to back into International Paper, all the way around, I could basically have a train up to right about here and not really be in this. The train would not be in two scenes at once. That's probably about, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8 cars. If I wanted 15 cars, though I don't think I would ever really get that long, but I could have it where there's not part of the train in the street running and part of it over here. So let's continue on. Rev up a little bit here. We can go a little faster over here. So I do have this grade crossing here, which is triggered right there. I'm going to swap it out for probably just regular street, like the one flasher here and one over there, and use this one over in the street running area. at some point. But it was nice to get it working. So now we're heading through the, call it the plastics transload area, which is that area where the hoppers are. This area has been entirely revamped from the original plan. There was a lumber dealer right here to the left. I'll slow this down a little bit. And then I was always having the transload here. But I just didn't like how the scene was coming out with kind of forcing the lumber dealer, which is, it's here in this area, but it's kind of around a curve. So it's actually modeled more like the prototype now, with a bunch of these old dead spurs, as you can see. And I actually, when I stop this guy for a second, when I redid this scene, I added a little slope to the foam here. You can see it's, might be able to see it slants down a little bit, just to have some area where there was a little bit of contouring. So I think it turned out pretty good. And then, like I said, this area, they don't switch out these industries anymore. So SP did back in the day. And then let's go over here to this one, is the Orange County Register building. It's got that red stripe. I believe they stopped getting boxcar traffic a few years ago. I mean, what's a newspaper anymore, right? So I will still switch it out occasionally, probably more so with my Southern Pacific locomotives. One thing to add about, I've mentioned the Southern Pacific a few times. I have some, let's go over here real quick. Southern Pacific Power. There's a few of them right here. And then a bunch of older cars that would have ran in the 80s and 90s. So basically this entire area hasn't really changed in the last 30, 40 years, aside from the industries are maybe more modern. So could essentially basically just run a Southern Pacific locomotive and older cars, and it's, a lot of this, everything's the same. Street running was there, the bridge was there. Like I said, this Orange County Register. So then let's look at this. So this area here. So what they do is we bring the plastic hoppers in on this far right track. And you can see I have a couple trucks over there where they would load their trucks with the plastic pellets. And I would bring, I think the prototype, when it switches this area out, it leaves some of the box cars from International Paper, which was over there. It moves these empty hoppers to the second track here and stores them. And then it just continues on the route and picks them up on the way back, which is how I would operate it. So I would pull into that second track, drop few of my empties, drop the loaded plastic pellet hoppers on the first track, and then we would resume. So as we head out, continue on. So this building with the graffiti on it, I've had in various locations on my layout. It'll probably end up staying here. Again, it's a non-rail served building, just for background. This little building here is a little hockey rink. It's called Pure Hockey. It's probably for recreational or kids hockey, I'm not really sure. But it's right here by the track. And I plan to put a sign up. And again, it's obviously not a rail served industry. Just kind of negative space. This is Catella Avenue. Disneyland's right up the road, about a mile. I have a Starbucks from Summit Custom Cuts, who makes a bunch of modern models. I started, I haven't finished. I still have some work to do, but it's going to go right here. I don't work for Starbucks, but I do a lot of work with Starbucks logistics, so it's kind of something I wanted on the layout. There are a couple Starbucks on this line, maybe a half mile away. I'm going to try to model it similarly to those. If you look at some of the weathering on these box cars, a lot of the cars I have I've bought from various artists, people online, eBay. This first one I did myself. This second one, if you guys know of Bob Ross of Boxcars on Instagram, he did this one. I picked it up from a different person, not him. That's a commission car. This one as well. I did do this tank car myself. And these two reefers were commission cars as well. I did change this reefer to a cold connect. I took the original decals off and swapped some decals out. So now we're heading over to this half of the layout. So right here is going to be the lone lumber yard. Originally this was going to be Ganal lumber, but I think I'll probably just make it Crenshaw lumber. I don't know if it really matters at this point. I really haven't done anything to this area yet, except build some kind of wood loads. So here on the prototype, they have two industries. One's a plastics pellet warehouse, or some plastics, something they get plastic pellets. And then there's like a tank, some kind of asphalt place. I decided to make it into a cold storage warehouse, which is here, just because I wanted some cold storage cars. And then I've shown this before. This is a corn syrup transload. So this particular location is actually in Lodi, California. I found it just looking for corn syrup transload just online, just looking at EDM facilities, and it was kind of a brand new facility. So I kind of copied it. It's not exact, but I like that you can do a lot of different things with the corn syrup facility, different grades. I have some sugar hoppers, and I'm aware that this first one is not a sugar hopper, as I've been told. So it's this guy coming down here. So I believe the last layout tour, in the original plan, this was going to be a large, I think, ice cream facility, ice cream plant. But the good thing about a layout, you can change your mind and change it to what you need. So decided to go with cold storage and corn syrup. And this is the area of the layout where we actually need to do a runaround. So if you come down here, see the track, the spur ends right there. So the locomotive has to drop all its cars. Actually, I could probably do that. And then get on this track, run around it, and reconnect to go back to the yard. As you can see, loosely, I have a mock-up of the cold storage. It's based off a facility, I think, in Tulare, California, I found. It's a modern cold storage, but it could change. I don't really, not exactly sure what I'm going to do with it yet, but that's kind of where it's going to be. And then you can see this track here that kind of goes off. stop the train here. And it goes around the industry. So that would be, get up here. That was for the continuous run portion that we designed in. So it goes all the way around. Turn this off. So it goes around here. Sweeping, nice sweeping curve. I have some cars just sitting there. And what it would do is it was going to connect through here over to this section to enable continuous running. I'm not sure if I'm going to do that anymore. I'm not even sure if I'm going to keep this section or I don't know. I don't have to worry about it at this point, but if I wanted to do something different here, because it was going to be kind of a closing scene where there's some strawberry fields, which I actually, I like the scene, but I'm just not sure. If I don't have a continuous running loop, then it's no point in making the scene. But I also might change this, the original half of the layout too, to something different, so we'll see. So now we're going to grab the hauler and come back this way. And I'll just touch on a little bit of this area, but not too much. So now we're going to take this train for the empty hauler. I guess this would pull the empties back to Colton Yard, and I'll just kind of ride through the other half of the layout, the original portion, and just talk about a few things on the way. So I got to use the NCE for this guy. I think my turnouts, I didn't check these, so we'll work it. So right about here is where the original layout ended and the expansion began, probably right around this line. Started the expansion last January. So as I stated in the very beginning, this half of the layout is a little north of Anaheim. It's Buena Park, Santa Fe Springs, and there's another city name I don't recall at this point. This is a bridge I had an artist paint. He did a couple of my cars as well. Actually, since he did this bridge has been painted over with something else, which is unfortunate, but let's see here. Gotta get my turnouts. Okay, we're good. So this side was ballasted. The dirt layer is kind of where I learned started my learning process on scenery. Obviously, I have a lot to learn still. So I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with this half. If I'm gonna leave it and just kind of change the industries if I want to make it like the Stanton industrial lead, or there's an area in Orange, California that actually is beyond like the area I was talking about over there. There's a big old bridge that crosses the Anaheim or some river and goes to Orange. There's some industries. Or if I just don't need to do the Santa Ana industrial lead over here and maybe model something else, BNSF, California, or Vernon, or I'm not sure. But for now, it's going to stay. I'm just working on this other half. So as you can see, nothing has changed. That big industry back there is Capital Foods. It gets all kinds of different boxcars, vegetable oil, corn syrup. And then I really like this little cement area, or cement plant. because I got all these cars that were weathered up. So that's one thing, if I did change this, I would miss. And then we're heading kind of to the end here. This industry is Liberty vegetable oil, and from what I understand on Google Maps, it shows it as closed permanently, so I don't think it might not exist as well. There's no reason I couldn't leave it, but it's kind of unfortunate. It's a lot of industry for one track too. It's a big undertaking would have been to try to build this, so I do like, it's got these little kind of dingy motels that are right by the tracks in front of it. So we're about at the end here. So thanks everyone for tuning in. Sorry the tour. Oops. So thanks everyone for tuning in to the tour. Like I said, it's been a while since I did one. I wanted to update it and be on the lookout for a new video series I plan on doing with a little shelf layout I built outside this room. That's coming soon. Thanks again. Bye.